and you look at modern art too. That modern art, a lot of the times,
I hate modern art, but
sometimes
I know. But
exactly.
yes,
But sometimes, yeah, it's like anybody. Well, like you look at someone who scribbles on a piece of paper and like puts it on a wall. It's like, ooh, it's in the modern Museum of Modern Art. But like at the same time, like these are real artists that are doing that, and like outsider artists are doing stuff that's better than that a lot of the times.
yeah.
You know.
Well, the thing that killed me with modern art was I went to the MoMA, the one and only time that I went to the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art here in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and I there were certain things that I did like that I thought were
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Like I really liked the Duchamp stuff, which is just totally destructive.
Mm-hmm.
Where like it's like a chair, and then the guy like would just put like a giant drill bit into it, and then like throw like a picture frame on top of that or whatever. He'd do a bunch of chaotic stuff, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But there was something but like every once in a while, there was like something there that just bothered me because it was like, this is like, to me, this was not art in any way. Like the
Yeah.
thing that killed me was there was a white shoebox on the floor, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, so so like my friend whom I was with, she goes to go pick up the shoebox, and she's like, "Oh no, somebody left the shoebox here." And the security guard goes up to her, and the security guard's like, "You can't touch that." And she's like, "But someone left a shoebox in there." And like the security guard is like, "This is gonna be a little hard to understand, and I didn't get it either. But that's the art." And she's
Oh.
like, "What?" She was like, "Yes." She was like, "Well, what did they do to the shoebox?" She's like, "They painted the inside white so that it would match the outside."
Oh God.
That wound up in a museum. Somebody made
Well,
a ton of money off of that. So
I think
there's certain
I
things
think
that bother me,
yes,
but
I agree.
like I wouldn't call
I
that art by any stretch of the imagination. But
well, I think
but a lot of modern art is just very weird. Like there's that guy who did what's his name? He did Metallica's Load and Reload albums, which
oh
he's
yeah,
like a very controversial guy.
yeah, I know who you're
His
talking
name
about.
escapes me, but he does like a
He was a
lot of,
French artist, I believe.
yeah, he does a lot of
Um,
weird art with like blood and
Seaman.
semen and fecal matter. He's not for everybody. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Um, I think art is 100% subjective. Um, so what you and I think is art, someone else might think is crappy. Someone might look at, I think we stated before, you and I were in a band before we started this podcast many years ago.
Not in
And
some stages,
a
but
lot of
yes.
people probably would look at our music and say, wow, that's shit. That's not art. That's terrible.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, we
And that's
prided
fine.
ourselves on that. Like we would tell people
Exactly.
that we were bad just so that
Right.
like people would check it out, and like people loved that we like were so like,
Self-deprecating.
yeah. The guy's name is Andre Serrano. That's his name.
Okay. All right. Oh, so he's actually American. I thought he was French or something.
Yeah. Yeah, just some French guy, some like Afro-Cuban guy. He's half Honduran and half Afro-Cuban, and
Okay.
was raised a strict Roman Catholic. All right, well that explains a lot of things.
Well, yeah.
Not the Cuban or Honduran thing. I mean the Catholic thing.
Yeah.
That explains quite a lot of things as to why he
Yes.
does things.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, his most controversial work is called Piss Christ, where it's like it's a picture of it's a red picture of Jesus of like a crucifix, and it's in a glass container of, well, allegedly his own pee. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's things
Well, that's what
happening
reload
there.
the reload cover was piss. I'm pretty sure it was piss
I think it was
blood.
I think it was piss and blood, or like piss and like semen or something. I don't know. One of them
load cover
no
was-
load was blood and semen, and the other one
Yes.
was like blood and urine. Just
Yeah.
ew. I mean,
Yeah.
all you got to do is just throw some sweat in there, and you, ooh, God, sweat, ooh.
And, it works for Metallica's Load because a lot of people would say it's just nothing but a load.
Yeah, it's a load of
That
something.
album. Although there were a couple of good songs. See,
Yeah, I'll give
what
him a
they should have
couple.
done, they should have taken Load and Reload, and instead of making 30 songs each on both albums, they should have just taken the best of both albums and made one album, and
Yeah,
that's it.
and it probably would have
They
been halfway decent,
Yeah,
but
I
they
always
did what
thought
they did.
they should make they should make re-release Load and Reload as a double album, but like cut the worst songs out of it, and call it Unloaded or
Yeah,
Unload.
unload. Oh, I don't want to know what the cover would be for that. Okay. So Reload. The artwork is a mix of bovine blood and
Okay.
and his semen,
Oh,
and the artwork is called Piss and Blood 26.
Jesus, he did 26 of those.
Okay. Okay, if that's what you wanted to do with your life, I'm glad that he made a living out of that.
Well,
You got to do something.
hey, the biggest rock band in the world used his art as their cover, so he must have done something right.
Yeah, it worked. All right. Yeah, his is called Semen and Blood 3. All right. So he has a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he mixed those things between two sheets of plexiglass, so it looks like a weird slide. Okay.
It's certainly a weird slide.
Yes, it's certainly artwork to someone.
Yeah. To someone.
To someone.
I guess to Lars, because I'm sure Lars is the one who chose that album cover.
Yeah. Well, him and Kirk were like doing like I think they were like heavy into their like drug years like in the 90s.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I think
definitely.
so like there was that, and that was where they started to get really like artsy, and they
Mm-hmm.
I mean they cut their hair, which I mean that I don't know how much that has to do with it, but they cut their hair nonetheless, and they like changed their look a little bit, and like meanwhile James and like Jason still moderately look the same, except Jason got a haircut and James got a haircut. But like nothing really changed for them. It was just Kirk and Lars just kind of got more into drugs and more into like art at the same time. I don't know if that attitude, I don't know if that like lifestyle just kind of goes hand in hand when you have that much money, but
I guess.
okay.
I know at that point I've read that James was he didn't really even hang out with them. He kind of like just did his own thing. He went and like sat on his like ranch in like the middle of nowhere and just like hunted and was like away from people. So
all right.
I guess that was just the thing, because he didn't really care about that whole scene, the whole artsy scene. I think it was more Lars and Kirk's thing.
Yeah, well, Lars has. I mean, I imagine he still paints, but he had like he painted a bunch of paintings. Which is what you would paint if you were a painter.
Yeah.
Among other things, he painted paintings. The painter painted paintings of paint with paint.
You don't say.
Yeah. And if we had another sponsor, we could do Paint Your Life. Paint Your Life would pick a memory, and they will do, and someone will paint it for you, and it's beautiful. But since they're not a sponsor, I have nothing to say.
It's too late. You already said it.
So if you think that sounds like a great idea, tell them about it so that way we can get a kickback from it. Otherwise, don't waste your time. I feel like we're never going to have a sponsor, and it's my fault.
Anyway, let's
All
listen
right.
to someone.
Moving on.
Yeah.